Hello there. What is going on, everybody? Today we're bringing to you a Legion battle report of Jyn versus Jyn, and we're going to be running advanced positions. Sean is going to be in the top right corner. I'll be in the bottom left corner. We're running hostile environment as our condition and intercept the transmissions for the objective. So advanced positions, hostile environment, and intercept the transmissions. We kind of liked this because we were both running rebel lists this time. I've been running rebels a lot more lately, and we're running Jyn both as our commander as well. So a kind of a mirror match right here, although the lists are a little different. Sean is running some vehicles where I am not running vehicles. I'm on the left. Sean is on the right. And, we're going to run through this game. I'm turning up the speed here so you can get through deployment and everything, and we'll kind of just talk everything through. This is going to be a really interesting game because of the fact that we're seeing Pathfinders versus Pathfinders, Jyn versus Jyn, and also the Scout 1 that's going to apply to everybody does allow those Pathfinders to be able to move a little bit more after their range 3 requirement. I will be putting the lists in the description below, so there we go. And now there are, that middle building in the just above the center of your screen is the center control point. The left control point is just behind the tree that, you can't quite see it. And then the top one is just in the cluster of those two buildings near the top of your screen. So those are the three areas we're going to be fighting over. Sean won the initiative, so he deployed some guys in the middle to kind of stop that first. And I'm kind of figuring out where I want to put my Pathfinders. I'm thinking about putting them on top of this building. But I don't want them to get shot too easily, and that's really the thing that you have to think about where you're going to deploy any kind of unit like a Pathfinder or Jyn. If you're going to be able to deploy them anywhere, you don't want to necessarily deploy them too far forward. So what I do is I do deploy them in between those two buildings. They are kind of off screen here. The camera just can't catch everything with the terrain. But yes, that's definitely one of the advantages of being first player is I could have put them wherever I wanted. I could have put them, inside a building in theory if I wanted to. Right in that center of that building, they would have been protected and had full control of the first objective. So, but I did give my Pathfinders recon intel because I wanted them to be able to. I didn't give them the rifle config this time. And, I figured they won't need range 4 because I can deploy them at range 3 and then move them just into range 3 so that they are going to have access there. And then I'm taking some generic rebel troopers, putting them off to the bottom. Sean's Pathfinders are kind of locking down the middle a little bit more. He didn't put his Pathfinders too far ahead, though. He didn't put them, but he did definitely put them outside of his corner. So he's taking advantage of controlling the battlefield without putting those guys too far forward. He does have a rebel leader in that rebel list that's going to kind of try to hold down the right-hand side, and then I am splitting my guys up. I have a couple of rebel troopers that I'm deploying underneath this platform in the middle and moving them as far away from my deployment zone as I can with their Scout 1. There are a lot of Z6 with frag grenades, which is one of my favorite ways to run rebels right now. But a lot of them deploy kind of out of view of the camera. Again, the big platforms and a lot of the larger terrain is always going to obscure some of the view, so it's hard to get it. Even with a top-down camera, it misses a lot of that. So I figured like the diagonal camera was one of the better ways to describe it all, and that's one of the reasons also that I do the narration. So we're going to kind of walk through some more of this, and my goal here was to try to use Jyn a little better than I've seen in the past and hopefully make her survive and, at least get to experience her command cards. I know when I've played Sean before, he's sometimes deployed his Jyn and Pathfinders a little too aggressively, and I'm hoping that he does that again. Although with those first Pathfinders, he did deploy them a little bit safer. They're slightly aggressive, but not too bad. Sean's deployed his ATRTs. The one at the bottom is the cannon, and the one at the top is the flamethrower, and that one is going to be very, very deadly. Here I am deploying some troopers to the side. This is another Z6 rebel unit, and they're doing their movement to touch that little piece of terrain. And touching terrain is important with this one because you won't be able to remove your suppression at the end of the round due to our conditions, so that's another thing with hostile environment. And I'm hoping to, that my range 3, I'm hoping to get some side shots on his Pathfinders and kind of weaken them a little bit. And now Sean deploys the Z6 troopers at the top of the screen. You can barely see them up there. They're kind of obscured by the building. But he's doing the same play that I just did. Like, oh, we're kind of going in the middle of the map, but here's my side view. So that's me deploying Jyn. I did deploy Jyn pretty far back in my own area. I didn't really take advantage of her infiltrate as much, but I did, and I deployed her with the her config I gave her pistol in the longer range config because I figure let's keep her safe. I've seen her die too many times, and I don't want. And his Jyn is there just beyond that tree, so he put his Jyn pretty far forward, and I put my Jyn in a much safer position. There goes another rebel trooper unit from Sean. No, that's his other Pathfinders. He put his Pathfinders pretty far back on his side. And now I'm thinking, you know what? I've got these Wookiees. I've got two Wookiees. One's normal, they're both heavily loaded out with the extra Wookiee and the Hunter and Tenacity. But one of the Wookiees, I had 2 points left. I gave them recon intel as well. And so considering that they're going to have Scout, they could move Scout 2 because of the deployment. So I'm thinking maybe I put them on top of this platform, have them maybe climb down with Expert Climber. But I think I'd end up deciding I'm going to put them somewhere else. So I'm trying a couple of different locations here, blocking the camera a little bit, but you'll be able to. I'll move back here just shortly. It's one of the reasons we speed this up. So I did deploy them over there behind that building, and I think they may be in range of getting to Jyn. We're going to try to, that's the thing is he did put her a little far forward, so I'm going to try to see if I can exploit that, but he didn't put her as far forward as he normally does. And then Sean's last unit there is his scouts, or his rebels, commandos with the sniper, and he's got a full unit of scouts with sniper, which is something I don't see very often in my games, but it is all right. And then there go my other scout, my other Wookiees with their Scout 2 move, so they get pretty far forward, almost as far up as my Jyn. Definitely looking to try to put some pressure towards the bottom middle of the board. That's definitely where I've concentrated most of my forces. It definitely seems like that's going to be like the middle of the screen is where a lot of the fighting is going to be taking place. We're getting ready to pick our first command cards here, and we're going to start round 1. So we've chosen, and there we go. I don't even remember, because I'm narrating after, of course. So I went with my 1 pip, and he went with complete the mission. Yes, so he can only so for the new Rebel 1 pip, he has to assign 1 less. Because I sabotage his communications, so he can only assign it to 2 people, but he does get complete the mission, so he gets the extra suppression option, which will help the Pathfinders a little bit. So he's assigning those, and I'm going to give my 1 activation, I believe I give it to one of the Wookiees, because I want to activate them first and try to tie up his Jyn. So I assign it to the Wookiees, and he gives it to his 2 Pathfinders, which each take a suppression, obviously. And then we're going to start the game. So I'm going to activate first. I'm going to do the Wookiees, and they're going to do a double move, and they do just barely have range to Jyn. So they move in, engage Jyn with charge, which is just an incredible. I wasn't sure if I was going to have range for it, but it did just barely fit. And so we're rolling 8 dice against Jyn. Really nice attack here, and we end up getting, I think, 4 hits on Jyn, because Sean does not roll very well. He doesn't get to use duck and cover for Jyn. He doesn't get any suppression bonus for this. He doesn't get danger sense. Doesn't get any of that of Jin's benefits. The only thing he really gets is her ability to convert surge to defense. So a really strong opening move by those Wookiees. I was very pleased with that. So Sean is going now. He's activating one of his Pathfinders in the middle, and he's trying to just measure out some shots. I believe that's the POW unit, and they do have their. I think he set them in short range config, and he's checking to see if he has the range on those Wookiees to use the short range config to use the red dice. Now POW gets the roll of red and a white regardless because he's got that super long range, but instead he's going to split fire. It looks like. So, and that's one of the good things about having like a unit like Pathfinder that can have potentially 3 different weapons. If you do deploy them pretty far forward, you can take 1 shot, split fire 3 different ways. One with maybe your long range config, one with the base weapon, and one with your leader or with your special heavy weapons, and then move out. into safety. So assign up potentially up to 3 suppression. He gets a little suppression. He also took a shot on one of my rebel troopers that's out of view, but completely rolled blanks there, so we didn't take suppression from that attack. So, not so bad. Not the worst, but doing a few things. Very, very tactical here, trying to figure out the best way to move in. Fortunately for turn 1 in a battle like this, it's not a scoring round. So, both players have a little bit of flexibility on where they want to move. And that's important because once turn 2 comes, now every decision is that much more crucial. So here I activate my Pathfinders with Bistan to take a shot on his Rebel Trooper units with Z6. He does give those guys fragmentation grenades too, and I'm afraid of them moving and getting into close range because he deployed them just close enough they could have moved and been in range 1 with the surge to crit from the frag grenades, and the Z6 would have been terrible. So I am attacking them. I'm rolling a ton of dice, exhausting Bistan, and it's almost all blanks. You can't see all of them, but I think I have 1 hit as a result of that, and then he blocks it. So I do give him a suppression at least, but a complete whiff of a full unit of Pathfinders attacking some Rebel Troopers. And the only saving grace I had there is that I moved out of range. So even if he does rally for this 1 suppression, he's not going to be able to get into range 1 and shoot. So basically, and over here he's attacking another one of my Rebel Trooper units, and it's the one that I put on the ambush side. And now all of a sudden, really strong attack from his Z6. He rolled really, really well, and he took that full unit at the bottom of your screen down to only 2. But what I love about the Rebel Trooper units is when I'm running Z6, I didn't give my Rebel Troopers the extra personnel upgrade because I know that down to even 2 minis, they're still 90% as effective. I'm going to get that Z6. I'm going to get the fragmentation grenades if I can get them close enough, and I can roll so much dice that way. Maybe not 90% effective. I'll say maybe 60% effective. I haven't actually done the math here, but I feel like my white dice tend to do really good. I feel very comfortable rolling white dice, especially with Surge. The Z6 is one of my favorite units in the whole game. Plus, it just feels good, I think, to pick up a whole handful of dice, to roll a fistful. You're rolling 7 dice with just those 2 minis. I mean, that's incredible, considering you're going to get a black, 6 white, surge to crit if you can get into the range. It's just a great value, one of the best values in the game. So the Z6 Trooper, definitely one of my favorites. So Sean activates Jyn at this point, and rather than attacking the Wookiee's back, he decides to disengage. He thought about that for a while. He wasn't sure if he should just stay in the melee because he knows then he's going to get killed next turn. So I do activate my other Wookiees. They do a move, and they are just range 2 of Jyn. So I'm going to take another 8 dice attack on Jyn with the Bowcaster Wookiee. He wasn't able to move far enough away because when you disengage, you can only do a speed 1 move, and that consumes your whole turn. So I am taking a big shot at Jyn. He is going to duck and cover. I think he forgets to put the token out here. But yeah, he does want to duck and cover, obviously. But we roll a lot of damage against Jyn. And because she was already wounded, I got the free aim token on that attack. So again, Tenacity and Hunter, really, really good upgrades for the Wookiees, and I'm able to kill Jyn with that. She ends up taking a ton of damage, and even with her 1 extra, and she didn't have enough suppression to really get the advantage of Danger Sense going on right there. And I denied her that ability by engaging her right away and kind of, tying her up and kind of forcing Sean's hand on what he was going to do there. And he pulled Jyn from the pile too. So that was the other thing, is he didn't really have the choice. He just got unlucky there. And that's one of the real advantages of assigning your orders and knowing what you're going to pull and when you're going to pull it. That was a huge move for me. So I definitely have the strength because that was his only commander as well. And so we're doing a couple more activations. Some troopers are firing on Pathfinders, and his snipers went and weakened another one of my troopers that's just barely hidden. But, while we finish out this turn, I think it's just, if you're going to have like a clutch maneuver, that's when it really kills you, when you pull from the pile. It doesn't happen very often for me. One of the things I like to do is I like to run a lot of core units and make sure that I'm just issuing orders to my onesies and twosies. issuing an order maybe just to my commander with standing orders. This way, whatever I pull, I have a lot more flexibility with. When you only have one of something, you almost always want it to have an order so you can save it to last. Or go first if you need to, but saving something important to last is so crucial, especially when you're holding on to a 1-pip you haven't used yet. And, in this case, Sean used Jyn's 3-pip on the first turn, but I know that he's probably got her 1 and 2-pip. He doesn't have to because we do have other generic command cards now. So he may not be using all of Jyn's command cards, but I'm willing to bet if he's playing only Jyn, he's probably got her 1, 2, and 3. So I know that I just denied him at least 2 more command cards for the game, really, really limiting what he can do, which is really it was worth taking such a risk and putting my Wookiees out there in the middle of the battlefield. Now he's got 4 units that can easily fire on my Wookiees from where they are. And now as he moves his another Rebel Trooper unit with the leader upgrade, he is likely to be able to have 5 units that can attack my Wookiees. And I'm probably going to, it looks bad for the Wookiees because they are vulnerable right now. But they can also potentially move into melee with some of those Pathfinders and try to get some damage done there. And I've taken a couple of shots on that middle Pathfinder unit already, and Sean is utilizing duck and cover. They are up to 3 suppression right now, and that's a good spot for them. So they definitely want to have 3 suppression if they can, as long as you can kind of keep them close to a leader. So when Jyn died, Sean made the core unit that has the leader upgrade his new battlefield commander. They're more centrally located. They're kind of in the top center of your screen, in between the 2 houses. And they are they have Courage 2. So they're just as good of a commander as any of the Special Forces units that also happen to have Courage 2. But the better advantage there is that they are centrally located, so they can more easily issue orders to the ATRTs if he needs to, and as well as issuing orders to that Rebel core unit that's so far away, and preventing panic on a wider circle as well. And that's one of those things that you really want your commander to be able to do, and that's why you kind of, having a leader in your army, especially if there's only one commander, having a leader out there or another unit with Courage 2 is always very nice, because if you've got one commander, people are going to go for it, especially with more bounty hunters coming out. Once Bosk comes out, we may start seeing double bounty hunter lists and really aggressive pushes for that sort of thing. So there, Sean just rolled against only 2 hits. He rolled 5 dice and was able to roll 1 block. So now you're seeing Danger Sense really, really work. As I had a couple of hits on those guys, but they got light cover. They got heavy cover because the tree, and the suppression rather, combined to give them heavy cover. So I think I had rolled 4 hits. It reduced it to 2. He rolled 5 because of the extra 3 from Danger Sense. It caps at 3 for them, but caps at, I think, 4 for Jyn. So it's just really, if they get a lot of suppression, those are some of the most survivable Rebel units out there, and that's really to their benefit. Their weakness is melee, and that's one of the things I was really able to take advantage of, why I wanted to run Wookiees today also. Well, granted, I didn't know the list that Sean was bringing before I built this list, but I know that Sean does like to play Rebels, and I go back and forth. I play probably more Empire than Rebels, and I really wanted to run the Wookiees because I think the Wookiees are one of my favorite units right now. They're really, really fun to play because they have good ranged and good melee. And they have charge. I mean, the Imperial Royal Guards are similar, and we're starting round 2. I'm playing Complete the Mission, and Sean is playing Push. So I am going with the suppression, and Sean is going to be able to go first, though, which is kind of a bummer for me, because I am worried that Flame ATRT is getting ever closer to my Bistan Pathfinder unit that's kind of near the top of your screen at the top left of the battlefield. And that is actually my black and white kind of unit that was kind of painted by my son, that I've touched up a little bit. And so I've been using those Pathfinder units a lot more lately, and that's actually a fun one for me, because I have 2 Pathfinder units. I painted one like purple and black, but then my son painted the other one, and I kind of like the one that he painted more, because it's it's just groovy like that. So we're assigning our units, and I am putting some suppression on my guys. They can't, and the beauty of this, especially with core units, is that they don't lose their action. They can't, they're not going to lose that action this turn if you give them the order. So Complete the Mission is just a really cool card, especially when you've got a unit like a Z6 rebel trooper that needs to be able to move to get into range 1 and shoot. Like, normally people don't always put the rebel troopers into range 1, but I mean, I just love giving them the frag grenade. It's definitely my favorite combo right now. I'm curious what new grenades they'll come out with in the future that are going to make me want even more. But I could envision them maybe coming up with like a 2 white die grenade at some point. That would be interesting, or something, something to tempt you off of some of the really nice, attractive grenades they do have. And here we're attacking with the Pathfinders, and I'm splitting my fire. But what I do at this point is I take Bistan, I recharge him, I recover the unit, take a Bistan shot at the flamethrower ATRT. I do get a hit through, which does ionize the ATRT, who is too far away to hit me with his flamethrower. And this was huge because now I've just denied him an action. So now he can either move and not shoot, or just shoot me with his regular, pistol, which is just 2 white dice, which I have no problem if he wants to do that. So I definitely kind of shut down that flamethrower this turn, and I put the rest of my guys attacking his rebel troopers, which I do get a few hits in. They're barely visible right now because they're at the very, very top of the map, kind of behind one of those houses. But they're there to kind of control that top objective token. So Sean's going to make sure that they survive. So here we go, and he is trying to move these guys in the house, but can't quite fit it through the tool. So he'd have to do like a 2 move, but he also wants to shoot. So he's like, well, where am I going to put them? Because this is round 2, and this is a scoring round. So that's one of the things we have to think about on those even-numbered rounds for this particular objective, is you sometimes have to make decisions between shooting and movement. And that's kind of the brilliance of Legion, I think, as a whole, is that you're making decisions on, that sometimes aren't tactically the best. Like, it would be better for me just to shoot you, but then you're going to complete your objective and win. You may be dead, but you'll win. And that's one of the things that I can't stand. So I do get a range 1 rebel trooper shot here, and we're attacking, and we take out that whole unit of troopers minus the leader. So we got 4 hits in. And it's just a really, really strong shot, and I wouldn't have been able to do that without the fragmentation grenades. And this is a unit that's already lost a lot. There's only 3 guys left in that unit, but they still roll so many dice. And against the rebel unit that does have Surge for defense, we rolled really, really good. Now Sean's going to keep his commander kind of hidden there, but he does have that ATRT with the rotary blaster cannon that's going to eventually come in and try to get some revenge, which is not good. So I'm activating some rebel... Oh, no, I pulled from the pile, and I get Wookiees. And, here we are. We're very, very close to those Pathfinders right there. And so I'm deciding on what I want to do. Or do I want to activate those Pathfinders at the top before the flamethrower comes through this time? So I decide to go with the Wookiees in this case. Or my 1 unit of Wookiees. And... again, not the best positioning for camera movability here, but we are moving. We're checking moves. We're seeing what moves we can do here. Do we want to take a shot? Do we want to move? Do we want to aim first? So we're taking a move because we know it's a scoring round, and bumping the camera because that's always awesome. So we do bump the camera and we're taking a shot at that unit that just moved to get in between the 2 buildings. And the Wookiees have a decent ranged attack. You just have to get into range 2, which in this particular case isn't bad because a lot of people are in range 2. And I do take almost all of them out, but there is 1 guy left. So now I've taken 2 of his units out that are in scoring range, range 1 of that center objective token. But they still have the leader left, which is really unfortunate on a scoring round. You want to completely wipe out a unit, so this way their unit leader can't score. And I've failed to do that twice. Granted, I took a full health unit down to only 1, but that's the beauty of it, is they can still score with 1 person left in the unit, and that's a real bummer for me. So it started out looking great. I took out Jyn, but it turned out not to matter. So his Pathfinder unit activates, and they do not rally, and they do have to panic with 5 suppressions. So they panic. They do not run off the board completely, but they are very close to running off the board. And since they are not touching terrain, they also will not remove a suppression at the end of the round as well because of the conditions, and there's a pretty good chance that they will panic and run off the board. So it's looking happy for me at this point. I may not win the scoring too well on this round, but with Jyn down and one of his expensive units about to be fleeing off the board, I'm feeling very comfortable right now. So we're doing some more shooting, and I'm trying to kill that one guy in the middle again from my one Wookiee. Now I have the second Wookiee, the ones that killed you, Jyn, are at the tip of the tree. I think there's only 1 or 2 Wookiees left in that unit right now, and they took a shot at that same guy in the middle and did not kill him. Just wasn't able to do it, and that's really, what's beginning to frustrate me now is that I've taken 3 shots on units in the middle of the battlefield and not killed any of them yet. And here come my rebel troopers that have no upgrades. It's just the 4 black dice. I put these guys in there just to activate, have an extra activation, have an extra unit leader, and we're going to take a shot on that same unit. And we roll a couple of hits, and he, of course, does not take any more damage. Just more suppression. He's up to 3 suppression now, and that guy, he's MVP of this game. It's one sole leader. He deserves a name. Maybe it's Biggs. Maybe it's Biggs' brother. Biggs' brother, Larges. That's the worst joke I've made in a week. Larges. Hi, my name is Larges Darklighter. It's terrible jokes. But that's what happens when you have kids. You just learn these dad jokes, and sometimes they're really bad. That was so bad, I even recognized that it was bad. So now Bistan is coming in, and they're going to come in and attack on my Wookiees, and they get a little damage through. I am activating Jyn and trying to figure out, how do I want Jyn to go? Could we come over and maybe, because she's in long range config, she might be able to take a shot, and she might be able to come over, and I'm kind of measuring ranges on her because I'm in a tough spot, because on one hand I'm thinking, Jyn might be able to come over and take out this one guy, and this MVP rebel leader that's been unable to die. But instead, I'm moving Jyn into all the rest of his special forces. And the reason for this is I have kind of broadcasted my intentions here. It looks like I'm planning on playing Jyn's 1 pip next turn, so where she will be able to interrupt. And Sean's moving to ATRT. I kind of let him take it back because he changed his mind. And it's a friendly game. We're like, no, you didn't want to do that. He wants to take a shot first. So he's going to shoot my rebels. And I swear every time Sean rolls attacks with his ATRT, he gets 5 hits. My black dice have never been so good. But he does completely eliminate one of my units over there. So now I have basically no chance of establishing control on the middle objective this turn. So Sean's going to be in the lead, it looks like, because he's forced my Pathfinders out of the way, and he's got 1 unit that's going to be able to claim the top objective and the middle objective. I'm only going to be able to claim the bottom, so it looks like it's going to be 2-1 at this point. Unless I'm lucky enough to kill this guy, and we'll go ahead and take this shot. And we got a big attack coming for this guy. Lots of dice, but not too many hits. And of course he rolls it and survives a full unit. And he manages it. That's 4 attacks consecutive on this one rebel trooper leader in the middle of the battlefield. There is also another rebel leader behind that building. That's his actual nominated commander, the Gideon model, who was the upgrade. And we're on the next turn. Sean got 2. I am playing Rebellious, of course, and Sean is playing Assault. So it was kind of obvious that I was going to go with Jyn's 1 pip because I've got a lot of options here. And he does give his snipers an upgrade. The snipers are really rough here. Really rough. I liked his positioning was really good too, because it's pretty flat from where they are to where most of my guys are. So he has a lot of stuff there. So I have to give Jyn the order, but I don't have to activate her first. So instead I'll pull from the pile and I pull Special Forces. Since I believe I've lost a Rebel Trooper unit now. By now I am almost even when comparing my Special Forces to my core units in the pile. So I have a pretty good chance of doing a lot of different things. I'm just trying to avoid the ATRT now, because the flamethrower one is between those 2 buildings, and if I don't activate these Pathfinders, the ATRT is going to get me. So I take these Pathfinders up here, and I just do a double move. To get them away from the ATRT, which again was pointed right at them, but was not able to, to shoot last turn because it was ionized. So Sean is now going to go and he activates this ATRT, the one with the blaster cannon, not the flamethrower. And he is moving it into the center, and he is taking a shot, I believe, on my Wookiees right here. And my white dice actually have been terrible. Every time he's attacked me, he has gotten all of his hits through. This whole game so far, as a matter of fact. Every shot he's taken. Now, fortunately, I still have a lot of units left on the board because he's spent most of his shots attacking my Wookiees. Now, I have rolled a couple of defensive surges, but Wookiees don't have any defensive surge ability. So all of his shots on my Wookiees have gone through. My white dice have been a complete and total failure this whole game so far, and it's beginning to frustrate me. But I suppose that's the nature of the game. That's why you have to do things like dodge, and I probably should do dodges a little more. Leia would have been very helpful in this game, to be honest. Leia would have. And so we're moving these rebel troopers up, and they're going to attack his ATRT. And they are definitely doing that. And we do have a couple of surges. So he rolls 4 defense dice, and I believe he takes 4 damage on that ATRT. 4 damage, really, really nice. A really nice shot on the ATRT, but not enough to kill it. And this is one of those things where another reason I like the frag grenades on rebel troopers is it gives you a little bit of anti-armor ability, because those surges have a pretty good, you have a pretty good chance of getting crits or surges, if not both. And so, and what are we doing over here? We are, activating Jyn. So what happens here is Sean activates his sniper unit, and Jyn, instead of attacking them, does a free move into the Pathfinders and hits them with her Tonfa, because she also gains charge this turn. So while she doesn't granted she could perform an attack against the unit, but instead she performs the free move action and charges into a nearby unit. So she kind of psyched out the snipers. So the snipers go ahead and they start shooting. They're splitting fire too, and that's one of the really nice things about them is they have good dice on their own. So the full unit is able to split fire. The sniper shot is always effective, and he's whittling down my troopers. And that's one of the things he's done with this sniper unit every round so far is he's been splitting fire as much as he can, taking out Wookiees with the regular Imperial with the regular Rebel commandos, and using that sniper to take down my core units, 2 units at a time, because the 2 dice he does that. He always does an aim and a shoot, and he's really, really likely to get those damage through with that thing. And plus the Pierce 1 too. And even if I have suppression, it doesn't matter because he's still, he's getting that sharpshooter ability. So the snipers are really gaining favor with me. I think for as early of a unit as they were in the game's life cycle, I think they were very well designed, and they're still very strong. And all the special forces feel very different right now. I think Wookiees are still my favorite. But yeah, the snipers are pretty cool. Especially how you can do a Rebel Saboteur unit so differently. So here we go. I'm activating core, and I'm activating this this Rebel unit, and we did an aim and a shoot. We finally kill that one trooper. It took almost, I think, 5 or 6 attacks to finally kill that one Rebel. And this isn't even a scoring round, so it wasn't even as clutch right now. But I only had 4 dice from them, so I wanted to do whatever I could. And the funny thing is that I did overkill. I think I rolled 2 or 3 hits, and he and he didn't roll anything. So of all the times that I could have used that turn a couple of turns ago. So Sean's activating his ATRT, and he did like a reverse maneuver, and he's trying to take a shot. Or I don't know if he's taking a shot or if he's going to pivot. But he didn't. I pretty much moved my Pathfinders to where he didn't have a shot on them. So he is just trying to get into position to threaten them next turn. And we're kind of playing hide and go seek around this top building. And Jyn went ahead and what did Jyn do? Oh yes, she did her. She attacked again, but she also did her special quick thinking ability. So she got an aim and a dodge, and in case she killed them, she'd have the dodge for the incoming fire afterwards. Or if they were to attack back. Because you can use a dodge against melee. Just kind of ducking out of the way. And now he is attacking with... Oh, and his units did not panic. Yes, this is his unit that was in panic. This is the POW unit at the back side of his screen, and they actually managed to rally well enough to not panic, and they have 2 suppression left on them. So here Sean goes with his flamethrower. Yeah, he was measuring it before, so he turns and pivots, or backs up and pivots, so that he can control the objective, or not. Granted, that doesn't give him control. And I play Trust Goes Both Ways, and Sean plays Sabotage Communications. Now, Trust goes both ways. Generally, I can activate Jyn and somebody else, and they're going to gain teamwork with Jyn. However, I have to issue 1 less because he sabotaged my communications. Very, very good use of that card, and I actually did the same thing on him like a week or 2 ago, so it was kind of just desserts. And so I just give it to the Special Forces unit. They still gain teamwork with Jyn, but in order for that to really work, I have to hope I activate Jyn before that Special Forces unit. So we'll see. So I decided to pull from the pile first, and I am going to... What am I doing? Oh, no, I pulled Jyn. That's right. So I do have her. Yeah, I pulled Jyn first. I thought that was Special Forces. So we pulled Jyn first, activating her. She's going to do the same thing, quick thinking, and then she'll attack. And so she does take out that Bistan Special Force Pathfinder's unit, and then my Wookiees get an aim and a dodge as a result. So I still get the benefit, even though he sabotaged my communications. That was luck. And here he goes with his fire flamethrower, and he moves to where he can actually see almost all of my Pathfinders. The only Pathfinder he can't see, since it's off screen, is Bistan in that unit. He can see everybody else, so he, instead of rolling 10 dice for the 5 units, he rolls 8 dice for the 4 because it is completely obstructed line of sight. So even though it has blast and ignores cover, we're not applying any cover, so we will still roll, and he does kill all of them. The only one that he couldn't see is Bistan, so Bistan will survive and also become the unit leader in that rare case that the leader was visible but another unit wasn't. So, and I figure if I'm going to have 1 unit left in a Pathfinder unit, Bistan is a good one to have because he is able to roll the most dice out of all of them. So, really good flamethrower shot, and I figure now I'm less vulnerable because he can only roll 2 dice against me. So I like that. So we're going to activate these Wookiees, and they will go ahead and shoot the ATRT, and they have their aim, so we're going to re-roll that. But I don't really get a whole lot of crits. We do get 1, and he gets damaged, and it becomes the not damaged. It becomes the maneuver damage. So we do go past his resilience, bringing him up to 5 wounds. We went past his resilience threshold. So yeah, he is definitely damaged. So he can't. If he's going to do a move action, it's going to take his full turn now. So I've kind of stuck him in place, although he is in a pretty good place and he has lots of shots pointing forward. So ideally not the crit I was hoping for. I was definitely more so hoping for the damaged weapon. But you can't always get what you want. So we're attacking with my rebel troopers now, and we're going for some, I think, the Pathfinders. And I will get 1 more of those, but Pow is still alive. Cannot manage to finish off units. That has been my problem this game. Finish off Jyn, so it started to look good, but it's beginning to slip away from me as he's got too many units that have 1 or 2 left alive still, and it does have the advantage when it comes to points right now because he has 2 to my 1, and this is a scoring round as well, and so I have to try to get some people down to that objective in the middle if I want to tie things up. And I'm going to activate Special Forces. And I've got my 1 Bistan, and I'm just going to hightail it. We're going to run with him. And he is running. He's just behind the 1 building that you can't see, but you can see his little objective token. So that is what my Bistan is doing. He's hightailing it away from that flamethrower ATRT. Just trying to survive. Because when you have 1 unit left, you kind of give up on them being a major threat to the enemy, and you kind of hope that they just become a unit that can score some points when it comes to scoring. And here he goes attacking. He's splitting fire again with the sniper unit. whittling down my Wookiees. He did kill one Wookiee unit, and I have my other Wookiee unit that's left, but I think I'm down to 2 units. And Sean is down to only having standing orders, and so I play push. I have an advantage now for command cards, which is definitely helpful. So I assign an order to Jyn and to my Wookiees, and so I am, I believe, down to only having 2 units. I have Bistan as a 1 Special Forces, and I have my core unit as another Special Forces. And so it's not looking very good. So we'll go ahead and activate the Wookiees. They definitely need to go, and they're going to try and tie up the snipers. Oh, it's only 1 Wookiee that's left in that unit. So we're definitely closing in towards the end of the game here. Going to try and tie up this other Wookiee unit, or the sniper unit with the Wookiees. And you know, I figure that's probably a good way. I've rolled 2 dice. I can maybe kill 1 or 2 of them. Every one I kill gets me closer to the sniper. And it disrupts them too, because they've been such a key disruption. And I'm able to rally and move Bistan. Oh, no, he doesn't rally, but he does use Dauntless. And that's one of the things that I really like about the Pathfinders, too, is if they do suffer from that suppression and they lose an action, they can just take a free move. So then, I decide to get out of there with Bistan and take a shot, and don't manage to do any good because I took a shot on his leader. He still does have that 1 Gideon leader miniature just behind the center building with the center objective token on it. And that's why I took a shot on, hoping that I would just get the 1 damage I needed. And I did not manage to do it. And that's unfortunate. And he's going to take his flamethrower and kind of bring him around, trying to go for me here. But he doesn't have me in the front arc. So while he's using that, you know, while I'm able to be more maneuverable, he has to use the more clunkier vehicle movement. So I'm, you know, able to at least make sure that I can do all right there. Although I'm worried that Bistan's going to die next time, because or panic, because Jyn is pretty far from him. And so we're finishing things up here. He's going to have the ATRT attack with its normal gun, and I did manage to, because the ATRT does, even though it's pointed a different way, he can still just take a normal shot with the rifle that the driver has. And so I am moving my Rebel Trooper unit to still be in control of the bottom objective, and I am attacking the ATRT, and I do kill the ATRT, although granted it's after it already activated, so not quite as clutch. But we got 1 more unit off the field. Unfortunately for me, that wasn't a scoring unit. It's not a trooper unit leader, so it didn't really matter as far as scoring goes. And that was kind of a bummer. But yeah, it's not looking good. My only hope at this point is that, and we're on round 6, last turn covering fire and standing orders. I will be able to go first. My last hope is that the snipers cannot kill the Wookiees and don't get to move up, and that Bistan manages to move up, and then potentially I can, you know, control 2 points and then win on points, because Sean has 4 to my 2 right now. And if I have 2 on the last round, everything's double, that will tie things up, because I will then jump ahead by 2. But since he's already ahead by 2, that kind of ties everything up. So then I'll get 4 to his 2 just in the last round. So my Wookiee goes ahead and attacks, and I think I forgot to add the red die the last time he meleeed those guys because of his tenacity. And I get some damage, but then he takes the ATRT, and instead of using a flamethrower, does a melee attack and rolls 3 damage, which is not enough for me to survive. So he does kill Bistan, and at that point, I think that's game, because I just don't have enough to do it now. But we're still going to play it out, because it really depends on what happens with the Wookiees. But yeah, that's game, because he. I think we've done the math, and there's really, because all he has to do is disengage, and then he can be there, and I just don't have enough to be able to stop him and move to control 2 points. Just don't have it. Ultimately, my white dice were bad, but Sean's splitting fire was good. I think his MVP was half the rebel trooper that just wouldn't die, and then on the other side, I'd say it was also half the sniper unit that just consistently was putting down minis and putting down units. Really good job, and that's all we got. That's the end of the game, and I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe and leave a comment to enter one of my various giveaways because I'm always running them, and that's Legion. Have a great day.